Hello. Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi, everybody. Beth here from Access Paranormal, here live for I Want to Know. And this week is a little bit different. This one is a bit off topic. And I say off topic for me. It's an area that I don't have a lot of knowledge in. Very much more into the whole haunting cases and spiritual sort of stuff and the whole spirits, ghosts, that kind of thing, when it comes to paranormal investigating. So to actually talk a little bit about Yowies and Bigfoots and elementals, I thought it'd be a bit of a difference, a bit of a break in it. So welcome, everybody. If you are here, please make sure you jump on in and let me know in the chat area as well, so I know that you'll hear it too. I did invite two gorgeous people. There's Jack Tessier. Apologies, mate, if I have said your name incorrectly. He's part of the Australian Cryptozoology Research Organisation, and I've invited him to come along, and hopefully he'll be chatting in the chat room as well. And I also have invited Murray Byfield as well, so if he's about and online, if he wants to chime on in too, because these guys have a fair bit of information and a fair bit of research and often talk about it as well. So it'd be really good to get their insight into this too. Now, of course, being a very, very different today's subject being Yowies. You know, is there a connection between Yowies, Bigfoot, Sasquatch with elementals? And I know that it was an interesting couple of comments since having this particular topic, because I know that a lot of us can sometimes look at elementals as being something just folklore, which, yes, they are. They're very much into they're very much of an old spirit type thing, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So, yeah, I know it's been very interesting seeing the topics and people's comments come up as well. Some people really, really liking it. Some people not so much as well. So, awesome. Great. Just having a look here, making sure I haven't missed anybody in the meantime. Great. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Hello. Awesome. I'll say hello to everybody too. So, awesome. Okay, so let's get stuck into it. So, cryptozoology, crypto meaning hidden and zoology meaning study of animal. And this is where sort of Yowies and Bigfoot all kind of come under. And generally being it's a study of a particular creature that just hasn't been verified by science. Science has said, look, I just haven't got, any proof of this as it speaks, as it is at this point in time. Hello, mate. How are you? Jack. So Mason's yeah, awesome, great. That's good to see a lot of people here. Yes, excellent, great. Got some good people here as well. Fantastic. So that's where cryptozoology, that's where Sasquatch and Bigfoot and the likes fall under. And it's the same with Loch Ness Monster. We've got New Jersey Devil, I think there's even the Black Panther here in Western Sydney, where I'm based. So they tend to fall under this particular category. Now, of course, there is elementals, which has been really, really interesting, as I mentioned before. Very, very old earth-bound spirits, that they're seen by people. They're very much connected to nature. They're not really good. They're not really bad. They just are. And they were been here way, way long before humans ever arrived. So as you can see, the possibility that maybe how the other one or two could be connected. So with this in mind, I might just have a quick quick check here to see how you guys are. Awesome. Okay, so elementals and the connection with Yowies and Sasquatch. Now, the reason why this came up was a question that came up about a week ago from a good mate of mine. And it's amazing how one driving home from work can make someone think. And he based it on the possibility that there hasn't been any hardcore scientific evidence of these creatures existing. So with that being the case, is it possible that maybe it's not necessarily something that's actually physically alive, but it's something that we're having glimpses of an energy that is way older than us? So, and this is based for him on the fact that, we haven't seen a dead one yet. Think about it. Although I think a couple of years ago, there was a guy that actually, what was it? I think he had one and ended up being a hoax or something. I'm not sure. I might need some clarification on that later. But there was that. And also we haven't really seen, I know from my initial research, anything that's kind of come out of it. So if you get my drift. So there's not really been much or little proof of that as well. So there's that too. Also, there's been a lot of eyewitness accounts of these particular creatures all around the world. So there is something being seen. It's very consistent to a degree, although Yetis are a difference in sort of appearance as opposed to Yowies, as opposed to Bigfoot. They're all different types, different species. Also, there is the possibility that they did shout. Now, this is where I kind of get a little bit passionate. I think it's very wise to be open-minded to the fact that as humans, when we developed, that there's a possibility that we actually sprang off into another type of species of human. And I think that's really, really important because that's a possibility. To me, just the same as when we look at the possibility of alien life. We can't honestly sit here and say that we're the only people here. It's too vast. It's too vast. It's beyond our knowledge. So I think that, the possibility of having alien life contact us, I think it's possible. It's not completely impossible, in my opinion, as an investigator. So I think that's something to keep in mind when it comes to the possibility of these creatures existing. I know that some people have also said that there's been the possibility of there being another dimension. So if there's another dimension that they may possibly be using to encounter that as well. So there's all different types of theories as to why they might actually be not leaving a sign of their presence. And think of it as well, these creatures, if they have sort of branched off into their own and become their own species, they have become so adapted to their environment. They become really, really in tune with where they are. They would see and hear things in ways that you and I would never know. And I've had experiences going out on investigations, looking for these particular creatures, which if we've got a bit of time, I'll talk a little bit about. But our Indigenous Australians are very much believers in these creatures existing here in Australia. I know for a fact that they are very much that you don't go out and try and make communication with them. To them, it's a big no-no. You leave them as they are and you go about your way. And for many, many, many years, they've always kind of kept to where they are in their locations and knowing where the Yowies would be and leaving them be. So it's like never the two shall meet. They just kind of keep to their own corners or own spots, and that was it. They knew of each other, but that's just how it is. So that's Indigenous Australian belief, very general belief of the Yowies there. I think with American Indian beliefs, I think they call them in-betweeners, I think it is, or halfway, where it's Yowies and the Sasquatch, particularly in Northern America, and Bigfoot are known to have consciousness of a man and of an animal as well. So they're almost like the in-between both worlds kind of thing. So I think it's a very similar belief system for Indigenous Australians as well. That's how they believe it to be. Lots of different stories I could tell you about that, but I won't bore you. It's very fascinating. So there's a couple of things there as well. So I'll just have a quick look here, make sure you guys are warm and fuzzy. Oh, brilliant, beautiful. Now, my couple of experiences, if we've got a bit of time, I've been out on expeditions. I call them expeditions. It makes it sound like we trek for days, but really it's only for about a couple of hours in the Australian bush. And we've had some really interesting experiences where we've always made sure that the females are in the middle of the group, because there tends to be a bit of a theory that if females were to be at the back of the line as we're going and walking through paths, that they are more susceptible to get quite tired. And if that's the case, they might leave behind in the group. And we know that's not the case, but that's one of the theories. And by doing that, that means that the Yowie has a more of a chance of being able to approach the female, not from a hey, do you want to go out kind of thing, not that kind of approach, but more from the fact of obviously take her away for whatever reasons. So there's that one theory. So we always look in the middle. It's just something we're trying out. I've been there where there's been rock throwing. That has been really, really, really interesting. Oh, sorry, Karen. Oh, excellent. So Karen, so here we got, brings to mind the theory that the time is linear, and that maybe these creatures are crossing time similar to the paranormal. That's a great, great comment to make, Karen. That's a highly, highly possible as well. These creatures are who's to say that they don't cross a particular time frame? It's like with residual theory, as we say, or I call it non-interactive. It's almost that kind of thing. What's to say that there's not something playing out, or it could be a time frame? Multiverse theory, could that only just be exclusive to just hauntings? Maybe it could also be the same with cryptozoology or animals that have been able to learn how to do that. That's a great point. Great comment there, sweetheart. But yeah, it's I've had rock throwing. Rock throwing's been it's just it's, and the reason why, I mean, isn't it funny? I get so excited about rocks being thrown at me, but bear with me. Reason being is because I couldn't find a plausible explanation, and we know what that's like when we're investigating hauntings. And to be able to walk and have a rock thrown at you when you're on flat ground and there's no cliffs nearby. Yes, there's trees, but there's no cliffs nearby. And this thing has projectile. We're in pitch black. We're about an hour and a half's walk from the main road of where we were. And this rock comes flying, and it's the size of my fist, and comes flying, and it lands right in front of my feet as I'm walking. It's almost like as if it was perfectly timed to where I was going to be as it landed. For the life of me, I couldn't understand how or why that could happen. We were the only people we knew that were there at the time, as much as we could know. And also at the same time, whoever was doing it in pitch black. So maybe they did have night vision, but it's a very interesting scenario to throw rocks at someone in night vision. Anyway, there could be other explanations I haven't discovered yet, but it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating to experience. And it happened twice. It was a bigger rock the size of my fist, and a smaller one, which was probably about the size of maybe a couple of fingers size sort of stuff. So really fascinating phenomena that I've witnessed as much as I have so far. Wood knocks is another thing as well. If you have two big long sticks, we call them just wood knocks, could be big sticks, you hit them once, and the theory is that once you do that, it's a signal to another Yowie further along, you're near my area, keep out. And I know it's almost like, well, if you're wanting to try and elicit some sort of communication, why are you telling it to go away? There's a theory, because for them to actually say, yeah, I get it, bro, is actually by hitting the two sticks. So if you get a wood knock back and it's far out in an area that you know that at that point in time, as much as you do, that there is nobody else there, then that's really, really interesting. And that's happened in the past for me as well. So there's been, and just sounds and changes in the environment that I've never been able to put my finger on. And that's the weirdest thing with this kind of, say, stuff. It's like a study, but you're looking for something is possibly alive. And that's the difference with this, is that you're not looking for something that has possibly have passed. This thing is in theory meant to be alive. You're looking for something that's physically alive. And that is a whole different game. It's a whole different game. You feel very different out there, and a lot more vulnerable than you think you would in a possibly haunted location. So very interesting. So for me, from my point of view, I would say that I don't think they are elementals, not purely based on my own experiences, but I think that, I mean, there are people like Rex Gilroy who, someone said, no live. Oh dear, I hope that's not the case. There's Rex Gilroy. He's got a plastic. He's been able to have cast of enormous feet, and he brought them to Paracon a couple of years ago. He's got stuff. I know that people have tried to do some DNA testing of some hair and stuff like that as well. That's been really interesting. Again, it's very difficult because a lot of the time when it comes to this kind of research, that people will actually find it difficult to how can I put it, to fund it, really. A lot of the time it's because it's something like, well, it comes under paranormal. It's not something that's proven. The funding can be very difficult. DNA testing is really expensive. So sometimes it can be very difficult if you're trying to look at doing DNA testing on hair or anything like that. So I know they found really strange DNA from wild bears in certain parts. But yeah, so far, technically, science calls it, as there hasn't been any proof of that yet. Now, hopefully there aren't any issues with the video. There seems to be a couple of people that are trying to chime on in and haven't been able to as yet. So I'll have to research that myself. But before I do go, I do want to mention that if you are interested in this, head over to the Australian Cryptozoology Research Organisation. They have a yearly conference that only started as of last year. There's also Paracon Australia. There is a talk given by Paul Cropper, and it's called Out of the Shadows, the menagerie of the Australian mystery animals. And also it talks about all the different types of Australian animals here in Australia. Oh, cool. Excellent. Oh, no live? No, there should be live. So yeah, so all these great events, go and have a check it out. Some of them, if you get to go and join the associations and learn from these kinds of people, maybe or maybe not, they might have sort of expeditions out to certain areas where they'll actually be able to go out and have a look for this particular creature. So hopefully you can get along to that. It's a very different experience when you do that as opposed to a haunting one, I must admit. But anyway, I shall leave you to it, lovely people. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, good to hear. That's good. Fantastic. So glad. And so, yeah, get out there and learn as well. As I said, it's a different experience to really does challenge your fear as well. I admit that. and it's interesting seeing men in that situation as well. Males are very I guess you get very protective as well, which is really quite unusual. It's very strange to see compared to others. Apologies for the hearts. I think there's meant to be a little heart frame around here. I scheduled this when it was Halloween, so the system I'm using has obviously thought it's still Halloween. Halloween, my God, Valentine's Day, same thing really, isn't it? So apologies for that. They will be gone by next week. But until the next exciting episode, thanks so much for watching.